Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're working out what we're going to do about this compaction problem which we've had over the last few years. So just in the back we've got a spade. What we've got to do is just work out which parts of the field are compacted and which bits aren't, because we're going to buy this subsoiler. I found one today down in Suffolk and we're hopefully going to put a deposit on it. It's a twin leg one. Thanks for all of your recommendations on which ones to look for. They're a really difficult machine to buy, subsoilers, because they seem to be they're either about 20 or 30 years old and they're for sale, or they're a brand new one and not much in between. I guess it's one of those bits of machinery which people just keep hold of as they go through their farming careers. So it's been quite difficult to find one, but we've managed to find this twin leg one, which I'll show you soon, which should be perfect if you look here at these tram lines for busting them up. When the ground's compacted like that, we don't want the leg in the middle, just the two for the tram lines will be fine. And I think the one we found requires 130 horsepower to pull it, and that tractor, the 6R, will be more than enough to pull a subsoiler on this light land. I should think you probably get away with a 3-leg one, but we'll just go 2-leg to be on top of the horsepower, and it's a good size for the tram lines. So this is what I just wanted to show you today. This is called letterbox field. We've got some fodder beet over there which we've harvested earlier on last year. Paul harvested it. Got some swans flying over there, and then on this side we've got the spring barley. Most of the compaction is just like this, where the machinery is coming in and out of the fields. Some of the worst crops for compaction will be things like the sugar beet, potatoes when we rent the land out for them, and carrots as well, because the machinery for carrots is huge nowadays, and when they're just going up and down the field all day, you know, you get those huge bulker trailers, they'll just be pushing the ground down, compacting it down, and then you have a solid pan at the bottom. So if we just have a look here to the left of this tram line in the field, we'll just dig a square out. The spade's going in pretty easily there. Not that difficult to get it in. Further in the field like this. So it's quite light, sandy soil here. If you have a look at that, it just breaks up easily. That's not very compacted, and you can see actually, you can almost see the sand. It's that light on this farm. Hardly compacted at all there. And if we just go down a little bit deeper, there's not much of a pan, that's fine. So I can put that all away, knowing that the middle of the field, from away from the tram lines, isn't really that compacted. That's not a problem. If we have a look just by the truck here on these tram lines, where all the machinery's been coming up and down, look at that. Can't even get it in the ground. That's why you need the subsoiler. Can't even get the blooming spade in. So if we look at this compacted piece by comparison to what we just saw in the field, this is literally solid by comparison. It's coming out in clumps, it doesn't want to break up as easily. You've got to do a bit more work to crush it. So that is basically what we're trying to eliminate, and that's why we need the subsoiler. If we can bust through this and basically do that with the subsoiler, break it, split it, hit the pan lower down, and then we'll then hopefully be on top of the compaction. And then further down, I just can't get the spade back into the ground because that's the pan lower down. And in the next few decades in farming in the UK, we're going to be doing less and less ploughing. As a lot of environmentalists now say, that it releases too much carbon into the atmosphere, and it might not be as good for the environment as we think it has been for all these years. So we won't be doing so much ploughing, which will mean we'll do more minimum tillage. So for example, we could plant a crop on here with a minimum tillage drill, but then the problem is, like on these tram lines, as we've just found, is we're going to have too much compaction. So buying the subsoiler will enable us to hopefully do a little bit of minimum tillage to establish some crops, and then once the crops are harvested, if the ground's compacted as it is here in areas, we can just come through with the Cousins twin leg subsoiler, bust these up, and it will break the pan. It will then allow water to escape. It will also allow the root structure to get further down to absorb water, hopefully, and then we'll then have a better soil structure. And it's something we've been missing out on doing actually for quite a few years, subsoiling, and I think we've the farm really needs it in these certain areas. This is really bad here on this field, particularly the tram lines. And then in the middle of the field, as we found earlier, it's not that compacted by comparison to the tram lines. So as long as we can keep on top of this, probably every few years or maybe every year in certain parts, that'll be absolutely brilliant. And it's another job we can do for ourselves to save some money and to improve our efficiency. And then going ahead with the minimum tillage drill, hopefully the subsoiler will then work with the min-till drill so that we won't need to plough as much. We can hear where the machine's been going up and down, where they've been harvesting a lot of the fodder beet. You look here where that machine's been. You can almost feel it as you're walking along where it is. I know it sounds funny, but yeah, you can, I mean, just, that's fine, no compaction. And then, oh bloody hell, yeah, that's compacted. And then next to it, where the machinery hasn't been running, easy. So, you know, just knowing where the compaction is really and where to get the subsoiler in. Oh yeah, we've got compaction, that is really bad. Look at that. That's like a blooming brick. Look at that, how it just holds together like that. We don't want to get too worried about the compaction, because where do you draw the line? In the summer when you've got some straw bales on the field and you've got to pick them up. I know some farmers don't have straw for that reason, because you're driving equipment on the field a lot, you know, with the baler, the telehandler to pick up the bales or whatever's picking the bales up. That in itself can cause quite a lot of compaction. I was just walking along some of the stubble on the way back there, and even parts of the field which haven't got tram lines on, you can feel are compacted because of where the manitou's been, or a baler, in the summer. And you know, it probably does cause quite a lot of compaction, but what can you do? I think it just depends, you know, how seriously you take the compaction problem. I think at the end of the day, as long as we can just do our tram lines and get the worst areas under control, you know, that's all you can do. And just be responsible, I think, you know, in the telehandler, when I pick the bales up, return to the tram lines, which are the rows we go up and down in the field, for anyone who didn't know. Just go up the tram lines and then you reduce the compaction that way. But yeah, you really shouldn't be, you know, driving around the fields too much with heavy equipment. If it's light equipment like the buggy or the Land Rover, it's not too bad. But if it is heavy equipment like a, you know, a telehandler or a tractor, farmers in the future will be paid for looking after the soil. So, you know, driving on the fields unnecessarily with heavy equipment, heavy machinery, that might be something farmers won't be doing much more of in the future. And, you know, it impacts a lot of different organisms in the soil biome. You know, earthworms, for example, suffer from compaction, and they're required for a healthy soil biome. So it all, you know, it's all one big cycle, and I think we've got to look after, if we can, you know, the soil a little bit more, whilst also still being able to farm, get the bales off the field in summertime. And, you know, muck spreading, that's probably a big one. You know, could we look at some sort of machine just with some slightly larger tyres to reduce compaction, reduce the pressure in the tyres? I've been speaking to Trelleborg at the moment about that. Could we maybe reduce the pressure in the 6R or whatever tractor we have on the farm to just, you know, reduce the compaction when we're off the tram lines? Because we can't do everything from the tram lines, unfortunately. Then you're looking at controlled traffic farming and CTF, which you need specialist equipment for. You need big drills, you need all of the right equipment to be in that game. And we don't want to go that far, but as long as we can just acknowledge it, because to be fair, growing up, I haven't really acknowledged the compaction that much. I just drive all over the fields with the telehandler and not really thinking about it. But now I've learned a little bit, and you know, hopefully be a bit more responsible. So with that, I hope it's been an enjoyable video. Maybe you've learned something about compaction if you didn't know too much about compaction, and if you could give this video a thumbs up, it would be much appreciated. Tomorrow I'll be picking up some silage bales, and then I'll be picking up the subsoiler, hopefully over the weekend as well. We've got to be careful because it's going to start raining before long, and the trouble is, of course, when it rains, we won't be able to get in with the subsoiler. So we've got to be pretty ASAP on this, pretty sharp, and get it done really. I'm going to go and see if we can sort the subsoiler out, if we can get a good deal on that, and then we'll get it picked up. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.